Is my screen visible? Okay. Okay, guys. Please, those who have not still type their name and enrollment number and section, please do so. Type your name, enrollment number, and section in the chat box. So let's begin. So, guys, I hope, as instructed, you must have gone through the last three lectures because there is a little dependency on the lectures. Okay, with what we are going to cover today. So, just stop me at any point if you feel that you are not understanding or I am going a little fast, uh, because soon the things are going to be complicated. So, in the last class, we have seen about method overloading. Anyone can tell me what is the method overloading? What do you mean by method overloading in Java? Anyone, please? What is method overloading in Java?
Using function with same name as a class with different parameters.
Okay, using the function with the same name.
As a class.
No, that's the constructor. That's constructor, Shubham. If you have the same name as the name of the class of a function, so that's a
Hmm.
constructor. I'm asking about method overloading or function overloading.
So using function with same name with different parameter.
Right. The function should be with the same name but different parameter, and there should be two meaning with this. Either the number of parameters should be different or the type of the parameter could also be different. Right? Like in the previous example, we have seen that a particular method add takes the first parameter as int type and the second parameter as float type. And the overloaded method add takes the first parameter as float and second parameter as int type. So in that case also the number of parameters are same. The type is also same, but the sequence is changed. So in fact that comes under the category the type has changed. So that is what we call as a method overloading. So giving more than one responsibility to a particular method. In short, just for the understanding purpose, not a perfect definition, but just for the understanding purpose, we are reusing the same name, same function name with different parameter list that changes either in the type or in the number. That is what we call as method overloading. The return type here doesn't matter. Return type is not considered in the deciding factor that whether a method is overloaded or not. And what Shubham has said earlier, that means if you have something that looks like a method and has the same name as the name of a class, so that's basically a constructor, which is used to initialize the instance variable while the object is created at the time of the creation of the object. Okay, it doesn't have a return type, not even void. If you put a void, that means it becomes a method, right? We have discussed all those things in the previous classes. So this was just to give you a review that you are at the place.
The constructor can also be overloaded, no?
That's what we will discuss now. Just like methods, we have seen the method overloading. The constructors can also be overloaded. We will see some of the examples just now. Okay. Any other question from the previous class? If anything is unclear, okay. So as you see, in the last class we have created, the example of a calculator class. Let me open that class. So you can see this is a calculator class under the package check. Okay, and that means a folder check is there, and inside the folder there is a calculator class in the SRT folder of the project. And it has got several add methods. Some add method takes two parameters and some add method takes three parameters, right? But they all are add methods. That means the name is reused. Okay. If there is no change in the parameter, then as we have seen that we will get a compilation error that the method is duplicate. For example, if I write the method, the first method again, public int add with the same parameter list, int a, even though we change the name of the variable, doesn't matter. The type has to be, we should change y. And okay, now as soon as you do this, return say x plus y. So you can see that this compilation error that you are getting is duplicate method add int in type calculator. Doesn't matter that the name of the variable are a or b and they are x and y. Doesn't matter. The name of the method is same. Okay, and the parameter types are same. The number of parameters are also same. The first parameter is here is int. The second parameter is also int. The first parameter is this. The second parameter is also int, and the second parameter is also int. That's a duplicate method. You cannot have duplicate variables. You cannot have duplicate method in the same scope, right? So this is not possible. Whereas when we have different type of variables using the same add name add as a function name, then we can have those methods written or compiled without any error. Like here in the second example in line number 8, this add method takes two floating point parameters. So it's different from the first one, which is at line number 4, that takes two integer type parameters, right? Line number 11 takes two string type parameters. Then in line number 16, you can see it takes three parameters now. The number has changed, not the type of the type integers. Similarly, line number 19 takes three floating point numbers. Line number 22 takes three string type parameters. And we have also tested this program uh, here by calling all these methods, right? We have tested it. We have also given some wrong, arguments also in the methods to see what kind of error we are getting, and do they easily match to what we are expecting to get into, or do they differ from our expectations? So we have tried to debug the program, and actually we have looked into the method calls, that where the call is going actually at the runtime, to figure out which method is being mapped. And we have seen this mapping is being done at the compile time or runtime. Tell me, guys, this mapping of the method call to the actual method is being done at the compile time. Please tell me, at the
Sir,
compile time.
compile time.
That's why it is also called as static binding. That means the binding of this call calc dot add 2 comma 3 is being done at the compile time to the method public int add int a comma int b, right? So it is called as static binding. Now, just to get a review of the constructor, let me just open the applicant class, and here we have seen the example of the constructor. You see, this looks like a method, right? However, this is a constructor. When you see something with a bracket and then the parameter inside it, or even without parameter inside it, with body, then that's something a typical example of a constructor. Okay, putting a void violates the condition. So I must have no return type in a constructor. If I put a return type, even if void is there, then that becomes a method. That doesn't remain a constructor. The rule to make constructor is you should not have any return type before a constructor. It's just like a method. Its name should be the same as the name of the class, exactly same. So the name of the class is applicant with capital A. So the name of the constructor is also applicant with a constructor A, with a capital A, right? And we know that the Java convention, not the syntax rule, but the Java convention says you do not define a method with a capital letter. You use the camel case. Here we are violating that rule also because this is not a method. This is a constructor, right? If you put a word over here, just as before, this becomes a method. This becomes a method. This no longer is a constructor, right? However, this confuses the developer who is looking at the code that this is probably a constructor. He might miss the word, right? So this may be confusing, right, to the developer that this is a constructor, but this is not a constructor. This is a method call. If you try to create an object of the applicant class using this constructor, you will get a compilation error that no such constructor exists. Agree? Like for example, if I show you here in this admission management tab, probably we have done this. See, we can use the dot operator with the object reference variable to call applicant. So if a dot operator is being used, that means we are calling a method. We are calling a method. We are not calling a constructor to create an object. Here the constructor is being called with the new operator. That is, if you want to pass these four values here, you will get a compilation error. Like for example, if you pass it here, control V, and if you comment this line, okay, you see we are getting an error that the constructor applicant with the four variable where the first variable,
Excuse me, sir. सर
yeah, tell me.
सर बच्चों की रिक्वेस्ट एक्सेप्ट कर लीजिए.
Uh, guys who have joined late, please type in your name, enrollment number, and section, and try to join on time because this is very disturbing, you know, to keep on adding you at the later stage of the class when the class is running. Okay, I have to break the flow. Okay, try to join at the right time. See, I am trying to see again. Someone tried to join. Please try to join on time, guys. This is this is not good. Otherwise, either you have to wait for a quite long time. You can see what I'm doing is this line at the right hand side of the equal to. It says I want to create a new object with the constructor that takes four parameters. The first parameter of the type is string, the second parameter of the type is integer, the third parameter of the type boolean, and the fourth parameter of the type long. So I want to use this constructor, right? I want to use this constructor to create an object. And the compilation error that I am getting is the constructor applicant. Applicant is the name of the constructor because it's the same as the name of the class. So the compiler sees that I'm trying to use the constructor here with the new keyword. So it says this constructor, which takes these four parameters of the type string, int, boolean, and long, is undefined. That's not defined in the applicant class at all. So you are trying to call or create an object by calling a constructor which is undefined. Okay. So we know that this is not a constructor. This is a method. Only after deleting this word keyword and saving the code, you can see this code must work now. I have to save this also. Now this code has got no errors now. Okay, it's accepting this as a constructor because I have removed word from the constructor that I have written in the applicant class. Earlier with the word it was a method, but removing word makes it a constructor. Now, this is a clear-cut instruction that create a new object with these four parameters by calling this constructor that takes these four parameters. So whenever you see new and then the name of the class with a bracket, so bracket is basically just like a call to a method. So this is a call to a constructor. So this line indicates that create a new object by calling this by using this constructor basically. Okay. Any questions?
सर
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
कंस्ट्रक्टर जो है जब हम ऑब्जेक्ट बनाते हैं तब अपने आप ये कॉल हो जाता है ना?
अपने आप नहीं हाँ अपने आप तो कॉल हो रहा है
मतलब
मतलब
जब
बेसिकली
हम
क्या हो रहा है
वाइल
हमने आपको बता रहे हैं उसको कि कौन सा कंस्ट्रक्टर आपको यूज करना है.
तो हम ये कंस्ट्रक्टर यूज कहाँ करेंगे, क्योंकि हम मतलब ऑब्जेक्ट बनाने के साथ ही ये रन हो जाता है, तो मतलब रियल लाइफ में मतलब किस तरीके से यूज कर सकते हैं?
देखो कंस्ट्रक्टर को हम मेथड की तरह कॉल नहीं कर सकते मतलब जैसे हमने यहाँ पे मेथड कॉल किया है ना ये देखो नेक्स्ट लाइन जो है अगर ये मेथड होता मतलब वॉइड था तब तक ये लाइन कंपाइल हो रही थी डॉट ऑपरेटर लगाने के साथ डिफरेंस वेरिएबल पर राइट. तो मेथड की तरह कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल नहीं हो सकता है. कंस्ट्रक्टर जब भी कॉल होगा नया ऑब्जेक्ट बनाने के वक्त कॉल होगा यानी न्यू कीवर्ड जो है उसको लगा करके ही हम कॉल कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. इनफैक्ट हम कॉल भी नहीं कर रहे हैं हम जेवीएम से कह रहे हैं कि आप क्या करो कि नया ऑब्जेक्ट बनाओ इस कंस्ट्रक्टर को यूज करके जो चार पैरामीटर लेता है और इन टाइप के पैरामीटर लेता है और जब वो ऑब्जेक्ट बन जाए तो उसका रेफरेंस वेरिएबल ARR एप्लीकेंट 0 इस वेरिएबल में असाइन कर दो. क्लियर है शोएब?
यस सर, यस.
ठीक है. अच्छा अब इस चार वेरिएबल वाले कंस्ट्रक्टर को यूज करने का पर्पस क्या है आप पूछ रहे हो. तो पर्पस ये है कि हम चाहते हैं कि हमारा जो जब भी नया ऑब्जेक्ट बने एप्लीकेंट क्लास का तो एटलीस्ट ये चार फील्ड पॉपुलेटेड हो मतलब नाम पॉपुलेटेड हो एज पॉपुलेटेड हो और ये फील्ड क्या थी जो ट्रू एंड फॉल्स थी जेंडर बेसिकली राइट जेंडर पॉपुलेटेड हो और उसका फोन नंबर पॉपुलेटेड हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल you are an applicant and you are trying to fill a form, right? So sometimes it happens very often in the real life also in the software that we use online to have the applicant apply in the online admission portal. That they sometimes fill the form and leave the form half filled. That means that information is saved, but the form is half filled. They do not complete the form. Some of the details are missing. Okay, so there could be a number of details, right? But we want at least these four details are filled so that we know his name, his age, his gender, and his phone number, so that when we see that the date is being passed, just 1 or 2 days are left, okay, and probably the student might be having some problem in understanding that he has to complete the form, do the submission, and so on. So we give a call, the list come to us. That's really what happens. The list comes to us that these students have filled the form partially, but they have not submitted. Unless they submit, the processing will not happen. So what we do, we make a call to them, and we say that, dear applicant, you have filled partial information and you have not submitted the form. Please complete your form with all the details and then submit. Okay? But while he has filled the partial information, the partial information has come to the server, and when it has come to the server, it must have used some of the object like this, right? So we do not want to have the information with which are less than these four pieces of information. So we will make those fields mandatory. ठीक है उसको fill की और we may show them in just a single page so that he cannot proceed without filling all this information. So we still have the object created with some information, those are partial information, and we want to put a restriction that at least these four information are filled. Correct? So we
Yes,
have
sir.
created this constructor. Now, if you want to see, if you try to use a constructor which doesn't take these fields, like for example, if I want to use ARR applicant 0, which is a reference variable now, inside the array, is equal to new C. The constructor is showing the four parameter constructor, right? I'm not seeing a no argument constructor. Let me write it forcefully. Now this line means that I'm instructing this is the instruction that will go to the JVM, Java Virtual Machine, at the time of execution of the program, when the program runs, that create a new object using this constructor that doesn't take a parameter, right? That's a no argument constructor. And then assign the reference variable here. But it says, the compilation error says the constructor applicant without a parameter is undefined. Because we have seen that this kind of constructor may be a default constructor, but the condition to have a default constructor is that we have chosen not to define any constructor at all in the applicant class. But because we have taken the control, we have defined a constructor over here. So the compiler says, now it's upon you. If you want to use the constructor without an argument, you have to again define it, right? Otherwise, I am not going to insert a default constructor which is a no argument constructor. So that is why I am getting a error here that I cannot use this constructor. In the earlier cases, we have seen several cases where we have not defined any constructor of a class, and we have used this kind of approach to initialize an object. Okay, guys.
Yes, sir.
Now, suppose for some reason, not valid as per my justification that I do not want some information to be saved in the object while creation, uh, uh, these empty information. But for some reason, some other reason, let me say I want this constructor also to be there. Okay, so in that case, it's now I, as a developer, who is going to take the charge and create this constructor as well. If I want to use that constructor, see, I have not even written a code inside this constructor. This is just an empty constructor. It's a no or constructor. It doesn't take any argument. It's not a default constructor because this has not been inserted by the compiler as a default constructor. I have written this constructor. It's a no or constructor, but not a default constructor. Okay, get a clear cut idea. Now, let's go back to our program and see what has happened over there. See, the compilation error goes now because now we have chosen to declare that constructor. Agree? If I add one parameter, just one parameter, say for example, Shah Imran Alam, just one parameter to it, what will happen? I will again get a compilation error. That the constructor applicant that takes a single parameter of the string type is undefined. Of course, we have got two constructors, one which is a no constructor, one which is a for constructor, right? So there is no question of one other constructor. That constructor is not available. So we are trying to type the compiler that please compile this code in such a way that the JVM, the Java Virtual Machine, which when executes this program, should be in a position to create an object, a new applicant object, with a single parameter of the string type. But the compiler itself is looking at the code, the applicant class code, and it says that, okay, you do not have such a constructor over there. So no question of going to the runtime, okay, no question of getting you to execute this code. I am stopping you right over here with the compilation of this code, and you cannot proceed further because this constructor is missing. So if I want to have this constructor as well, so what should I do? Till now my code is saved, but it's giving me a compilation error. Okay, what should I do? I want to use this constructor also. Just one argument constructor which takes just the name. Anyone, please start.
सर जो आपने डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर बना रखा है उसमें आप स्ट्रिंग पास कर दीजिए
Okay, I
एप्लीकेशन
want to give the default constructor. That's not default constructor. That's a no constructor. Let me correct you again. That's no longer a default constructor. Default constructor will be there if we do not have any constructor at all. Everything is missing. Then what we cannot see is that the compiler has automatically inserted a no argument constructor, and that we call as a default constructor. ठीक है, अभी default constructor को नहीं बोलेंगे. अभी हमने जो बनाया है that's a no constructor, but that's not a default constructor. Okay. I want to keep this no or constructor also. Now what should I do?
सर न्यू कंस्ट्रक्टर बनाएंगे जिसमें एक आर्गुमेंट पास हो स्ट्रिंग
Shoaib,
टाइप का।
Shoaib, right?
सर
Okay. So as Shoaib says, applicant. Now we can create another constructor that takes just the name of the applicant. Name of the applicant. Okay. It takes name of the applicant and body start and end. And you will copy this line of code to assign the value. Okay. Let me say student category general. This is something default behavior that we have inserted. The default behavior also we have put over here. So this constructor we are creating just with 2 lines of the code, right? And then as soon as we go to this particular constructor, you see this is also error-free code, right? Doesn't give a compilation error, correct? But what we have seen here in the applicant class is just like methods, we are reusing the name of the constructor 3 times, right? Yeah. And every time the parameter changes. Okay, the number of parameter in fact changes. So you can see the first argument doesn't, the first constructor doesn't take any parameter. The second constructor at line number 17, it takes one parameter, name of application of the type string. The third constructor takes 4 parameters, right? Name of the applicant, age of the applicant, gender, and phone number. So this is what we call as constructor overloading. Just like method overloading, we can have the constructor also overloaded, right? Someone has asked me the question at the beginning of the class, right? Shubham, right? Shubham has asked this question.
Yes, sir.
So we can see that we have got the constructor being overloaded. See, constructor very much looks like a method. It is treated very much like a method. The only difference is that constructor can be called using the new operator only, right? Like here. Okay? It cannot be called using the dot operator because the dot operator we can only access the variables and the method. ठीक है, एक डिफरेंस तो ये हुआ कि कंस्ट्रक्टर को न्यू ऑपरेटर के साथ भी आप कॉल कर सकते हैं किसी थर्ड पार्टी कोड के साथ. ठीक है, आप उसका ऑब्जेक्ट जब बना रहे हैं ऑब्जेक्ट बनाते वक्त आप इंस्ट्रक्ट कर सकते हैं कि इस कंस्ट्रक्टर को यूज करके आप ऑब्जेक्ट बनाओ. ठीक है, आप उसको डॉट ऑपरेटर के साथ यूज नहीं कर सकते जैसा कि यहाँ पर दिख रहा है आपको. देखो आप इस लाइन को मैं अनकोड करूं अनकमेंट करूं तो देखो ये आपको एरर दे रहा है. द मेथड इट सेज द मेथड नॉट द कंस्ट्रक्टर. द मेथड एप्लीकेंट स्ट्रिंग इंट बूलियन लॉन्ग इज अनडिफाइंड फॉर द टाइप ऑफ एप्लीकेंट. तो एक तो डिफरेंस ये हुआ कि आप इसको मेथड का ट्रीटमेंट अलग है और कंस्ट्रक्टर का ट्रीटमेंट कोड में अलग है. अलग तरीके से आप यूज कर रहे हैं. यू आर यूजिंग इट डिफरेंटली. You are using constructor with the new operator while you are instructing to create a new object. Whereas once the object has been created and the reference has been assigned to this reference variable, now in the next line you can use the dot operator to call a method or a variable. But because it's the name of a constructor, so you are getting a compilation error that this particular method does not exist. The method applicant is undefined for the type applicant. If I want to call a method, that's perfectly fine. Like for example, if let me let me see what are the methods available here. So I will just remove it, put the dot operator, control space, and you see these are the variables and the methods available. Age of the applicant is available, communication address, course applied, email ID, gender, name of the applicant, command address, phone number. These are the variables which I can access, and below are the methods which I can access. See, get communication address, get course applied, get mail ID, get name of the applicant, get permanent address, get phone number, student category, and so on. And similarly, the setter methods, right? All those public methods are visible to us. ठीक है, तो डॉट ऑपरेटर लगा के आप वेरिएबल्स और मेथड को सेट कर सकते हैं. डॉट ऑपरेटर लगा के आप कंस्ट्रक्टर को कॉल नहीं दे सकते. थर्ड पार्टी कोड. ठीक है, थर्ड पार्टी कोड मीन्स a code which is a separate class and has got a you are calling you are trying to use it from that part of the code, not the same class. ठीक है, तो यहाँ से क्लियर है भाई.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have seen the constructor overloading as well. The other difference that I have told you before, that you should not put any return type before the constructor name, not even void. That will make it a method, not a constructor. Uh, rest of the code is same. Now, just look at the code, that the admission management app code, which we have written earlier. Uh, and we have used array to store a max of 100 applicants objects, right? ठीक है, ये लाइन क्लियर है?
Yes.
So suppose this is the initial maximum number of applicant that I have defined. Okay, so suppose it's a the university, when it probably might have started its online admission portal for the first time. So assume that it has decided to go only for one department, say the pharmacy department. Okay. So we know that in the pharmacy, the number of seats are very limited. Maybe 20 seats for bachelor, 25 seats for master, and a few seats for PhD. Okay. So we assume, okay, the number of total applicants in the pharmacy may be probably a max of 50 students, and we have taken a max double size of 100, okay, of the array, which is going to store the applicant details. So we can have at most 100 applicant details stored in this array, which is defined by the name ARR applicant, okay, of the type applicant. But then soon, this was the initial code that the developer has wrote, because they had the information, they had the initial requirement that they are going to use it for one department, and that department may not have more than 50 students in one session. So he doesn't want to waste a lot of space, because as you have seen, when we try to run this code in the for loop and try to print all the elements of ARR applicant, we see the elements which are populated, they are their values are being printed, right, using the toString method of the that particular element applicant class. But those applicant array elements which doesn't have the real object, they have not been initialized with an object, they were null. They were coming as null, right? देखा था ना?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
हाँ, तो अब नल का मतलब ये है कि उनके लिए कहीं ना कहीं अरे का जो ऑब्जेक्ट आपने डिफाइन किया है हीप में, उनके लिए स्पेस तो दी गई है ना, भले ही वो किसी रियल ऑब्जेक्ट को पॉइंट नहीं कर रहे हैं, बट द वेरिएबल इज देयर व्हिच इज गोइंग टू स्टोर द एड्रेस, राइट? So a kind of space is wasted for 100, a max of 100 elements, right? That's the basic fundamental of an array that you have learned right from the beginning of C language. That if you initialize the size, in fact, you have to initialize the size, right? And when you want to change the size of the array, then you are in a little trouble. So now I see that it's open for all the departments. Then probably my applicant number may go in many thousands, right? So in that case, I will have to keep on changing the code. I will have to make it say 10,000, right? I will have to recompile the code. And if the number of applicants in a particular session are very less, then a lot of space is wasted. If the applicant somehow exceeds even by a single unit, then I am in issue, because my code will no longer run without making a change to the original code, compiling the whole application, and then reusing the application, hosting it on the server, and doing all those things which are required for the application to be, prepared to be run, the new change application, right? So that's a quite a hefty process. That's a long process. It includes testing and other details also, right? So in this case, if we want to increase the size of this array, say from 100 to 10,000, what should we do now at the code level? See, we have already application which has got say 100 elements, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we do not want to disturb those things. And let's say if its application is already running. Now I want to write some extra code that should basically copy those 100 elements to a new array which is of a larger size, one by one. This is what we can do. Agree? गैस बात क्लियर हो रही है?
नो सर।
देखो, अभी ये जो हमने 100 एलिमेंट्स के लिए बनाए हैं, अब तक जो कोड चल रहा था, तो वो डाटा कहीं ना कहीं डाटाबेस में तो मौजूद है ना?
यस सर।
करेक्ट? जब भी एप्लीकेशन अप होगा तो वो डाटा ऑलरेडी, चाहे हम इसका साइज यहाँ 1000 कर भी दें, तो भी क्या होगा कि वो डाटा पॉपुलेट तो होना है,
वो पर्टिकुलर एड्रेस पे कहीं ना कहीं स्टोर होगा,
कहीं ना कहीं स्टोर होगा, राइट? तो अगर हम साइज को बढ़ा रहे हैं या घटा रहे हैं, उसमें एक ओवरहेड ये है कि अगर हम मान लीजिए घटा रहे हैं साइज को, तब तो क्या करना पड़ेगा कि जो एक्स्ट्रा एलिमेंट है ना, उनके लिए हमें देखना पड़ेगा कि हम क्या करें। मतलब जो 10,000 है यूज हो रहे हैं, 100 ही यूज हो रहे हैं या 150 यूज हो रहे हैं, तो जो एक्स्ट्रा एलिमेंट है वो स्पेस वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, राइट? तो हम क्या करना चाह रहे हैं कि हम अपनी स्पेस को बचाना चाह रहे हैं, तो हम क्या करेंगे, एक नया बनाएंगे अरे। जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक नया अरे बना ले, एप्लीकेंट एप्लीकेंट ARR एप्लीकेंट न्यू, और इसकी साइज हम दे दे न्यू एप्लीकेंट से 200। मान लीजिए हम देख रहे हैं कि 150 से ज्यादा आपकी बार नहीं एडमिशन होने वाला है बिकॉज ऑफ द कोविड रीजन और वट एवर, ठीक है? तो मैंने 200 डाल दिया। अब मैं क्या करूंगा, 2 बार न्यू लग गया ना। अब मैं क्या करूंगा, इसके 10,000 का जो स्पेस है इसमें से बारी बारी एलिमेंट को फॉर लूप चला के कॉपी करूंगा इसके अंदर, नए नए अरे के अंदर, राइट? और जब कॉपी कर लूंगा तब इसको क्या बोलूंगा, इसको बोलूंगा दिस ARR एप्लीकेंट इज इक्वल टू नल। इसको मैं नल पॉइंट कर दूं ताकि वो गार्बेज कलेक्ट हो जाए। We know that garbage collection is a mechanism in Java that you know destroys all the objects which are not referred by any of the reference variable of the running application.
यस सर।
ठीक है? So we do not have destructors in Java, right? We have constructor in Java, but we do not have a destructor in Java, right? We do not have the concept of destructor in Java. The destruction of object is basically automatically taken care by a daemon process. A daemon process is something which runs in the background, and that daemon process here is a garbage collector program that whenever it sees there is a crunch of memory, it automatically runs. Okay, you do not have a direct role inside it. That automatically runs, and it starts collecting all those objects which are no longer referred by a reference variable. That means they are called as a object which are kind of a hanging object. Okay, the lone objects, and it will destroy those objects. So what we can do, once we have copied all the 200 elements, 150 elements from this 10,000 to this new array of size 200, then we can say that this array applicant, I am going to point this to a null value. Now, right? As soon as I point it to a null value, this reference variable ARR applicant is no longer going to hold the address of the applicant array which has got a provision for 10,000 elements, and possibly those 200 elements are or 150 elements are still there. So that becomes isolated without a reference, and once it becomes isolated or without a reference, then what will happen, that this whole array is garbage collected. That means the array itself is destroyed, its elements, that means 150 applicant objects are destroyed because they are also no longer referred directly by a particular running code. ठीक है? तो वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो जा रहे हैं। ठीक है, तो हमें क्या करना पड़ रहा है, अगर मतलब साइज को हमें रिड्यूस करनी पड़ रही है तो उस कंडीशन में हमें नया नया अरे बनाना पड़ रहा है, उसमें कॉपी करना पड़ रहा है, पुराने वाले को नल करना पड़ रहा है, राइट? Similarly, if we want to increase the size, then what we have to do? We have to create a new array with a larger size, copy the array elements of a smaller size one by one to them, and then let the array reference of the first array point to null. Again, the same procedure. So this is what we call as a growing of an array or shrinking of an array size, right? We are trying to grow the array and shrink the array, but we have not written the code here just to show the copying of the element. You can just write a code of a for loop which can take each individual element from the first array and should copy at the same location in the second array, right? Same respective location in the second array. Okay, we have not written that for loop, right? But you can of course write it. Okay. So the responsibility lies with us to basically grow an array or shrink an array. That's something that we have to manage, and that requires the compilation, the code compilation also, because we are doing something extra. That requires a lot of other things, some kind of testing. That requires then the whole application integration mechanism, and then uploading to the server while you have to stop the server for a while, or even if there are certain mechanisms which doesn't allow you to stop the server at the server machine, then also something happens which disturbs the ongoing application for a little while. So there are a lot of things that happen if we make a code change, right? Just for the purpose of growing an array or shrinking an array, right? So what I want to do, I want to get rid of this problem and let my Java virtual machine at the runtime manage all these activity. ठीक है, getting my idea, guys?
सर array list भी तो यूज कर सकते हैं ना?
हाँ, मैं उसी पे आ रहा हूँ, ठीक है? तो प्रॉब्लम तो समझ आ रही है ना क्यों हम कर रहे हैं,
यस सर।
ठीक है? So what I want to do, I do not want to use this code, rather I want to make this code under source block comment, ठीक है? Instead what I will do is I will say array list. It's the name of the class, array list, ठीक है? List of applicant, ठीक है, is equal to new array list. ठीक है, अब मुझे क्या कंपाइलेशन एरर मिल रही पहले ये देखिए. Array list cannot be resolved to a type, and then it's giving me quick fixes available. The first of the quick fixes is import array list, which is in the package java.util. So array list is a class which is in java.util package. So as soon as I click on this option, you see an import statement has been added at the start of the code, that import java.util.arraylist, this particular class, and the error goes, right? So array list of applicant is equal to new array list. Now what I can do, I can keep on adding element by element, okay, to this array list. Now this array list is a class which is in java.util package, and in general this is called as the class, or the utility, not utility but rather a class of collections framework. It calls as a part of collections framework. So anything that we use as a collection to store more than one number of elements, so that's a collection. So there could be different collections like arrays, the class array list, which again represent an array with some benefits, set, map, stack, queue. So all these are the data structure which store more than one number of elements, right? And so they are called as collection, the part of the collection. This whole thing is called as collection framework. So everything which has got all the elements which can be used as a data type for the storing collections, different collection of objects. So they are considered as a single part of JDK, and that's what we call it the collection framework. Collection framework. Framework that has got certain number of classes which allows us to work on different collection data types. ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
एक बार फिर से मैं बता देता हूँ हिंदी में. देखिए, जैसे अरे हमारा क्या था, एक से ज्यादा एलिमेंट्स को स्टोर कर रहा था, चाहे वो स्ट्रिंग एलिमेंट हो, चाहे वो इंटीजर एलिमेंट हो, चाहे वो एप्लीकेंट क्लास का ही एलिमेंट क्यों ना हो, जैसे हमने यहाँ पे डिफाइन करा. ठीक है, अरे भी एक तरह से हमारा कलेक्शन है, राइट. लेकिन कुछ सर्टेन क्लासेस हैं जिनको बनाई इसीलिए गई हैं कि उनको हम ऐसे डाटा स्ट्रक्चर की तरह यूज कर पाए जो कि एक से ज्यादा एलिमेंट को अपने अंदर स्टोर कर पाए, यानी कलेक्शन ऑफ एलिमेंट्स को स्टोर कर पाए. ठीक है, तो उन्हीं क्लासेस में एक क्लास अरे लिस्ट है, और बहुत सारी क्लासेस है, जैसे सेट हो गया, मैप हो गया, ठीक है, हैश मैप इनफैक्ट, देन यू हैव गॉट क्यूज, यू हैव गॉट स्टैक, देन यू हैव गॉट लिंक लिस्ट. ठीक है, तो ये सारी चीजें आपके पास अवेलेबल है. ठीक है, तो ये सारे जो है ये एक से ज्यादा एलिमेंट को स्टोर करते हैं. कुछ इसमें से ऑर्डर्ड होते हैं, कुछ इसमें से अनऑर्डर्ड होते हैं. डाटा स्ट्रक्चर में आपने ऑर्डर कलेक्शन और अनऑर्डर्ड कलेक्शन का क्या मतलब होता है ये पढ़ा होगा. ठीक है, एग्री?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, कुछ उसमें से सीक्वेंशियल होते हैं, कुछ उसमें से डायनेमिक होते हैं. एसेस करने के क्राइटेरिया बता रहा हूँ. ठीक है, जैसे अरे जो होता है, अरे आपका डायनेमिक होता है. आप उसमें इंडेक्स पोजीशन यूज करके बीच से किसी भी एलिमेंट को डायनेमिकली पिक करके रीड कर सकते हैं, राइट. लेकिन लिंक लिस्ट अगर है तो लिंक लिस्ट में आपको एक एलिमेंट बाय एलिमेंट लिंक को फॉलो करते हुए आगे बढ़ना होगा जब तक आप उस बीच के एलिमेंट तक न पहुंचे और उसको रीड न कर लें. करेक्ट?
Yes, sir.
Array linked list is a sequential list, whereas an array is a dynamic list. Both are list of elements. So this array list is something very much similar to an array, but gives you a dynamic array. It gives you the facility of dynamic array. That means initially I have not defined the max size of this array list or this special dynamic array. I have not defined a maximum size, which is the initial size that I need to declare. Although there is a provision to give initial maximum size in array list also. This is sometimes asked in the interview also. So there is a provision, but you don't have to worry about the provision because the JVM automatically keeps a look at it. So now once you have just declared this syntax, what you will do is the reference variable of this dynamic array is list of applicant, right? List of applicant. And then you will, because this is the object of a class, you have got method. You will start adding the object. ठीक है, तो मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, नया ऑब्जेक्ट इसमें ऐड करना चाह रहा हूँ. और नया ऑब्जेक्ट क्या मैं ऐड करना चाह रहा हूँ, न्यू एप्लीकेंट, which is created by using this 4 argument constructor. मैंने ऐड कर दिया. ठीक है, देखिए प्रॉब्लम कहाँ है, सेमीकोलन बाहर होना चाहिए, राइट. करेक्ट. Now this element has been added. This element has been added. Now again let me add another applicant. Let me put a comment to this code. List of applicant. Control C, Control V. Now add again another object. I want to add another object. Now this time I want to add an object with uh, say a different name. Let me say Javed Ali. His age is 28. let me change the number as 3, 5 and so on. ठीक है? So second element is adding. ठीक है? What happened? What is wrong here? Tell me. The method add int object type is not okay. We have forgot to put a bracket over here. Okay, so that bracket. Sorry, new object. हमने ऑब्जेक्ट बना के ऐड कर रहे हैं ना. नए ऑब्जेक्ट बना के हम ऐड कर रहे हैं, तो अब कोड आपको सही है. ठीक है, ये ऐसा ही है जैसा कि अगर आप ऐसा ना कर करके आप ये करें, जस्ट लेट ब्रेक दिस कोड, तो चाहे आप ऐसे कर लें या फिर दूसरा फॉर्मेट ये है कि आप इसको यहाँ से बाहर निकाल दें और इसको इधर डाल दें और यहाँ कहें applicant 1 इसको आपने डाला. ठीक है, और applicant 1 को आप पास कर दीजिए यहाँ पर. तो ये दोनों ही सिंटेक्स सेम है. चाहे आप ये सिंटेक्स यूज करिए, चाहे आप डायरेक्टली न्यू ऑब्जेक्ट डाल दीजिए. ठीक है, यहाँ पे आपने उसको पहले एक रेफरेंस वेरिएबल में असाइन करा, फिर उस रेफरेंस वेरिएबल को यहाँ पे ऐड करा. ठीक है, यहाँ पे आप रेफरेंस वेरिएबल को न करके डायरेक्टली आप ऑब्जेक्ट को बना करके उस ऑब्जेक्ट के एड्रेस को पास कर रहे हैं. बेसिकली रेफरेंस वेरिएबल भी ऑब्जेक्ट को के एड्रेस को ही स्टोर करता है. ठीक है, तो दोनों में से कुछ भी आप कर सकते हैं. करेक्ट?
Yes, sir.
Now I want to traverse. Yeah, I need a semicolon over here. ठीक है, I want to traverse this list. So let me delete this kind of code which was giving me error. Traverse करने के लिए मैं क्या करूं? I want to print all the details of those two applicants that I have added.
सर या फिर आप लूप लगा लीजिए या फिर कोई प्रीडिफाइंड क्लास फंक्शन यूज कर लीजिए.
मैं एडवांस फॉर लूप या फॉर ईच लूप लगा रहा हूं. ठीक है, टाइप ऑफ एलिमेंट क्या है? एप्लीकेंट क्लास का अरे में, राइट? एप्लीकेंट क्लास का एप्लीकेंट कॉलन. कलेक्शन का नाम क्या है? जस्ट लाइक अरे, कोई भी कलेक्शन हो, किसी भी कलेक्शन को हम यहाँ डाल सकते हैं. कलेक्शन का नाम डाल दिए. ठीक है, अभी क्या एरर दे रहा है? टाइप मिसमैच कैन नॉट कन्वर्ट फ्रॉम एलिमेंट ऑब्जेक्ट टू स्ट्रिंग. देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम. ना ये क्या है मैं आपको अभी बाद में बताऊंगा. अभी मैं एप्लीकेंट का टाइम एप्लीकेंट ना लेकर के ऑब्जेक्ट ले रहा हूँ फॉर सर्टेन रीजन. ओके, आपको ये बाद में समझ में आएगा क्यों कर रहा हूँ मैं. अभी आप देखो, अब इसको करेक्ट भी करके मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा. ठीक है, नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस ओवर हियर, मैं इसको एप्लीकेंट को यहाँ पे प्रिंट कर दे रहा हूँ. ठीक है, नाउ लेट मी एक्सिक्यूट दिस कोड and let's see what we are getting. देखिए ये आ गया डिटेल्स आपके.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Now suppose I want to remove an element from this list. Okay, so list of applicant, control C dot remove. I have got two options. See, these are the overloaded methods. One takes integer type parameter, the other takes object type parameter. So I'm using the integer type parameter. I don't want to get you into object as of now because I have not yet told you. So integer type parameter. So as of now, if this is a dynamic array, if I say this array list means a dynamic array, so list of applicant is the reference variable to a dynamic array. So it will also maintain the index position just like a normal array. So as of now, there are two elements pointed present, two applicant objects present. So one will be at an index position 0, the other will be at an index position 1, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
I want to remove the one which is at the index position 1, which is I have added later on. Okay, so I will just give the index number, remove, list of applicant, the one is removed. Now if I use the for loop again to print. So in the second case, I will see that only one applicant details should come as the output. So let me add a message here. List of applicants after removal of an applicant at index position 1, right? और उससे पहले जो प्रिंट होगा वो इनिशियली दोनों इंडेक्स पोजीशन के लिए, ठीक है. लेट्स मी रन इट. क्लियर है ना?
यस सर.
Yes, sir.
लेट्स मी रन इट. सी, पहले जो प्रिंट हुआ फॉर लूप चला, दोनों एप्लीकेंट की डिटेल्स आपके सामने आए, शायद इमरान आलम एंड जावेद अली दोनों की आए. Then the message is printed, list of ticket after removal of a ticket at index position 1, and then you can see only Shah Imran Alam is coming, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now let's come to the mystery that why we have to use the object. I won't tell everything in one go. I will rather give the solution. In later classes, I will discuss what this object is and why I need to put object over here. ठीक है? अभी आप देखिए applicant के जो element है, they are of the nature of the applicant class itself, right? They are of the applicant class. They are of the type applicant class. Individual elements. लेफ्ट साइड पे आपको बताया था कि लिस्ट में जिस तरह का एलिमेंट हो उस तरह का आप टाइप डिक्लेयर करेंगे वेरिएबल का, ठीक है. व्हाट वी हैव डन इज वी हैव क्रिएटेड द अरे लिस्ट इन अ रॉन्ग वे इन फैक्ट, ठीक है. आई हैव डन दिस इंटेंशनली. सो आई एम एडिंग समथिंग टू इट. यू सी द लेस देन एंड ग्रेटर देन सिंबल कम्स, एंड देन हियर आई एम गिविंग द टाइप applicant, ठीक है. सिमिलरली I have to repeat this operation, this thing here also. Control C, here. Okay. Now, this whatever you are seeing is less than and greater than symbol. This is basically called as generic. I am using generic. Let me type it here. I am using generic. Okay. You have already studied something very much similar to generic in C++. आप सोच के मुझे बताइएगा क्या है वो चीज in the next class. First, let's understand the meaning of generic. So what I am saying here, I want to create a reference variable list of applicants, ठीक है, which is a dynamic array list, and this dynamic array should only be capable of storing objects of the applicant class, nothing else. Object of the applicant class and nothing else. And here in the right hand side, I am saying that create a new dynamic array with a restriction that when the program runs, the JVM should make sure that it should not allow anything else apart from the applicant class. Okay. Now, in this case, I can add applicant here. I don't have a problem now. The code will compile, the code will run. Because I have explicitly specified that we are only going to put the applicant type of object in this list of applicant. Clear?
Yes.
Let's try to add something else and let's see what happens. Control C. Let me try to add something else. Dot add. See, here it's only showing for applicant. Okay. If I try to add something which is a string, hello. Now I am getting a compilation error, and the compilation error says the method add that takes applicant as a parameter, the element of the type applicant as a parameter in the type array list, which is restricted for the applicant. It's showing in the less than and greater than symbol. with the generic is not applicant for the argument is string. That means you can only add a string, you can only add a object of applicant type in this collection, in this array list, nothing else. ठीक है, ठीक है guys? Okay.
यस सर।
अगर ये ऐसा ना होता, ये मान लीजिए मैंने इसको ऐसा ना किया होता, तब क्या होता? देखिए यहां से आपकी एरर चली गई, इस लाइन नंबर 17 से कंपाइलेशन एरर चली गई. The compilation is now gone from line number 17. This method is accepting even string because we have removed the restriction. ठीक है? What we
Yes,
have done,
sir.
we have removed the restriction. So it's accepting even a string. It will accept even an animal class object also if I create so. ठीक है? Or whatever object, any object of any class, we can just add it. So it doesn't remain an array of homogeneous elements. We have seen the definition of homogeneous, the definition of array that someone has told me in the class, that array is a list of homogeneous elements, right? It's a collection of homogeneous elements. Now the elements are no more homogeneous; they are heterogeneous. One element is of the type applicant, the other element is of the type string, and I am saying that I can add elements of almost any type, cat, dog, animal, whatever I like, right? Correct? But here in this case, because the restriction has been removed, it's no longer, this list has no longer been specific to the applicant. So that's why, to take care of the compilation error, I am adding object. Okay. The error will go now. Okay. If I try to print it, just have a look at it. If we run this code, आपकी बारी hello वाला भी print होगा, right? But hello भी प्रिंट हो रहा है, दोनों एप्लीकेंट भी प्रिंट हो रहे हैं. लिस्ट ऑफ एप्लीकेंट आफ्टर रिमूवल एलिमेंट, हेलो तो अपनी जगह ही है, एक एलिमेंट दो में से गायब हो गए, एक एलिमेंट प्रिंट हो रहा है, जावेद अली. ठीक है, करेक्ट गाइस? इज इट ओके?
यस सर।
Okay. Now, still we have not discussed what is this subject. It's just like something which can accept all. So if you put object, that means whatever is the type, that's acceptable. Don't worry about it. Don't get into the minute details. So tell me, which code is better? Whether this code is better or the code that I have written in the next line, that is Control C, Control V. What I am doing is I am putting a generic, and then I am restricting it to accept only the applicant class. So I will copy it again. Control C, Control V. Now, which of these line of codes are better? Whether I should write the code in line number 3 or whether I should write the code in line number 14.
सर 14।
Why?
सर बिकॉज इट यूज जेनेरिक्स, तो हमने पहले ही डिफाइन कर दिया कि वो किस टाइप का एलिमेंट होगा हमारा।
अब मैं हेलो नहीं ले पा रहा हूँ, which is a string. I cannot take hello अगर मैं इसको यूज करता हूँ तो. Okay. Then what is the impact? हमने रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया. This is what we call as strict type checking. कहते हैं ना, Java is a strict type check language. Even C++ is a strict type check language. Strict type language. That means it checks for the type strictly. ये लाइन ऑफ कोड जो था, जो लाइन नंबर 13 में मैंने लिख रखा था, वो इस स्ट्रिक्ट टाइप लैंग्वेज की फीचर को वॉलेट कर रहा था. मतलब हम स्ट्रिक्टली को चेक नहीं कर पा रहे थे कंपाइल टाइम पे. ठीक है, उसके अंदर एनिमल भी गया, उसके अंदर स्ट्रिंग भी गया, उसके अंदर एप्लीकेंट भी गया. अब वो रन टाइम पे देखेगा कि भाई इसके अंदर क्या एलिमेंट है और उसको कैसे से काम करना है इस पर। ठीक है गैस, क्लियर है? हेलो,
यस सर।
यहाँ पे हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हम कह रहे हैं कि भाई हमने स्ट्रिक्टली इसको टाइप चेक कर लिया, टाइप को स्ट्रिक्टली डिफाइन कर दिया कि एप्लीकेंट के अलावा कुछ और नहीं जाएगा। नाउ वी ऑल नो दैट if a language is made a strict type check language, so that is for some purpose. Like Python is not a strictly type check language, right? Python में सिर्फ आप वेरिएबल नेम डिक्लेयर करते हैं, वो ऑटोमेटिकली फिगर करता है इंटरप्रिटेशन के टाइम पर एज अ रन टाइम ऑब्जेक्ट उसके अंदर किस चीज का है या एलिमेंट किस चीज का है। Those who know Python, right? It's basically in the format of a scripting, you know, kind of languages. Correct? समझ नहीं आ रहा है? Yes or no? हाँ नहीं, कुछ जवाब दो भाई, समझ आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा
जी
है?
सर। जी
यस
सर आ रहा।
सर के लिए।
अच्छा भाई बोलते रहो, वरना मुझे लगेगा कि आप लोग छोड़ छाड़ के चले तो नहीं गए मीटिंग। ठीक है,
ओके सर, सॉरी सर।
तो अब यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है कि टाइप आपने डिफाइन कर दिया, आपकी स्ट्रिक्ट टाइप चेक लैंग्वेज हो गई। अब बताओ इसका परफॉर्मेंस पे कोई असर पड़ेगा क्या? विल इट इम्पैक्ट आवर परफॉर्मेंस एट द टाइम ऑफ एक्सक्यूशन ऑफ द कोड? Why at all we are worried about the strict type checking? Why Java and C++ are so strict type check? In fact, C is also to a certain extent strict type check language. Why not let's go just by the Python way? We do not define the type for a variable. Is there any advantage or disadvantage? Anyone, please? Guys, any idea?
न्यू एलिमेंट इजीली ऐड हो जा रहा है और रिमूव हो जा रहा है।
क्या नाम है आपका, फिर से बोलिएगा।
शुभम।
आवाज कटी बेटा, थोड़ा तेज बोलिए।
शुभम।
शुभम, क्या बोले शुभम?
सर न्यू एलिमेंट इजीली ऐड हो जा रहा है और इजीली रिमूव हो जा रहा है।
ऐड
कोड
होने में तो
हमारा छोटा
यही
रहेगा।
हो रहा है ना। यहाँ तो देखो हम ऐड करना चाह रहे हैं, अभी एप्लीकेंट क्लास का मैंने रिस्ट्रिक्शन कर दिया, टाइप चेक कर दिया। अब अगर मैं इसमें इसमें ये स्ट्रिंग ऐड करना चाह रहा हूँ तो मुझे कंपाइलेशन एरर मिल रही है, मैं खामखा परेशान हो रहा हूँ, तो ज्यादा मुश्किल हो रहा है ना। अगर ऐसा नहीं होता तब तो कुछ भी ऐड कर देता, मैं करता जाता इजिली। मतलब किस तरह से इजी है ये? बल्कि इससे एक तो रिस्ट्रिक्शन लगी ना, जब जहाँ रिस्ट्रिक्शन लगती है वहाँ चीज आसान कहाँ होती है, वहाँ तो आपको ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा ना।
यस सर।
और कोई बेनिफिट? सी, इट डजंट मैटर यू आर whether you are giving me the answer exactly what I am expecting or not. एटलीस्ट आपका दिमाग का घोड़ा तो चल रहा है ना। ठीक है, तो जाहिर सी बात है जो चीज आपको नहीं पता है हो सकता है आप एक उसमें समझ ना पाए इसको या गेस ना कर पाए। दैट्स परफेक्टली ऑल राइट। एटलीस्ट यू शुड स्टार्ट थिंकिंग, कुछ रिस्पॉन्स आपका आना चाहिए। तो अगर कुछ गलत आपके दिमाग में परसेप्शन है तो उसको, जैसे मैंने अभी रीजनिंग देके आपको क्लियर किया, ठीक है, ऐसे मैं रीजनिंग दूंगा फिर आपको। ठीक है, लेकिन दिमाग तो चलना चाहिए। एनीथिंग एल्स? When a language decides to go in favor of strict type checking, there is a specific reason for it, and the reason is mostly in the performance. That means the execution time it will take. That means, again, let me make it more clear. If I am using this strict type checking, I will get two benefits. One is that my program will run faster at the time of execution. The other is that the chances of getting a runtime error will drastically reduce. I will prove it just now. टाइम को तो प्रूफ करना मुश्किल है जब तक हम उसको कैलकुलेट ना करें, लेकिन उसको लॉजिक से प्रूफ कर सकता हूं मैं. आई कैन प्रूव इट विद द लॉजिक, राइट? सी, when a language is not strictly type checked, that means it has, at the compile time, it has not been decided that what kind of elements are going to store in this particular list. So you can add anything. You are free to add anything, and you are not checking about it. अगर ये यहाँ पे ये चीज नहीं होती तो आप कुछ भी ऐड कर सकते थे, and then you don't have to worry about checking it, right? You don't have to worry about checking it. ये एरर आपकी चली जा रही है, correct? But the thing is that when you are trying to print it, what is happening over here? Applicant को आप system dot out dot println के अंदर पास कर रहे हैं. The toString method of the applicant is being called to print the string representation of the applicant variable. Now, this applicant variable is at one time taking the object or referring to the object of applicant class. The other time it is referring to the object of a string class. So the toString method of the two classes are different. It has to accordingly figure out what kind of object it is, and accordingly it will call the toString method of that particular object. Okay, correct? That means
Yes, sir.
the decision or figuring out that this list contains what kind of element, whether it's a string element, it's an applicant element, it's an element of a class cat, dog, animal, or whatever kind, that's happening at the runtime. And a considerable amount of both memory and CPU cycles are being wasted to figure that out. Because list of applicant may contain 1,000 elements, 10,000 elements. And for each and every element, if the element types are different, there's a possibility of it being different. Then every time the Java virtual machine has to check at the execution time, at the runtime, when the program is running. And there is some code written in the background to check this. Those instructions will run. So extra time will be required to those execution of those statements. Extra memory will be required in the stack to execute those statements. You are wasting your resources, your time also. You are slowing down your application also. But when you have put the generic, that means you have pre-decided that this list of applicants are going to have only the object of the applicant class. There is no question of having anything else like this. That means a string object. So the JVM knows it because the code is compiled successfully with this generic. So JVM will not try to check dynamically at the time that what is the type of each element in the list of applicant, right? And it will just store it into the applicant reference variable, which is of the type applicant, and then only the toString method of the applicant class will be called to it. ठीक है? तो जो कोड आपके डिसाइड करने में रन टाइम पे लिस्ट के अंदर क्या जा रहा है, वो कोड एग्जीक्यूट होने से बच गया, उतना सीपीयू साइकिल बच गई, उतनी मेमोरी बच गई, आपकी कोड आपका फास्टर हो गया. ठीक है?
यस सर.
तो इसीलिए स्ट्रिक्ट टाइप जो लैंग्वेज जो फोर्स करती है आपको, बिकॉज इट डज सो फॉर द परफॉर्मेंस रीजन. So that's why any language which is written like a script or a purely interpreted language is much more slower than a compiled language which has a compilation in between that takes care of type definition, strict type definition. ठीक है? क्योंकि ये चीज रिजॉल्व हो गई कंपाइल टाइप पे ही. अब इसके लिए एक्स्ट्रा वर्क आपको रन टाइम पे नहीं करना पड़ेगा आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए किस टाइप के एलिमेंट्स हैं. तो आपका एप्लीकेशन फास्ट हो गया, राइट? So all these languages like C++ and Java, they are meant for high performance applications. They cannot afford to have data types which are not strictly typed. That's why even you have to define if a variable is of integer type, you say int x, not just x, as in Python. You do not have something mandatory to specify like this x is integer type in Python. Automatically at the runtime it will recognize, okay, it's an integer value, it's not a string value, it's not a character value, it's not a boolean value, it's not a floating point number, it's not a object of any class or so on. So it is done at the runtime by the Python. So you don't have to give the type there. And it's not a strictly type check language. Okay. So C is a strictly type check language in the sense that it allows you to basically say that the type is predefined. Whether it's an integer, it's a floating point number, it's a character, it's a boolean, or it's an element of some structure. Okay? C++ goes a way ahead. It allows you to use templates. Templates याद है? Templates to make it more strict type check, just like here. So the generics in Java are very much similar in nature to the templates. Not of course exactly same thing, but they are very much similar to templates in C++. ठीक है? अगर C++ किसी को अच्छी तरह आती है तो रिलेट कर पाएगा इसको. ठीक है? तो अगर नहीं आती तो भी कोई बात छोड़ दीजिए. नाउ इट्स अ वे अहेड. कि आप अगर कोई लिस्ट बना रहे हैं, कोई कलेक्शन बना रहे हैं, तो उसमें भी आप स्पेसिफाई कर सकते हैं कि एलिमेंट बाय एलिमेंट कौन सा एलिमेंट जाएगा. इट्स अ लिटिल मोर स्ट्रिक्ट टाइप चेकिंग that you are applying to your code to make your application much more faster at the runtime. Okay? The second thing that I told you that you will be reducing the chance for bugs considerably. Now let's see how the bug can come. Let's see. Let me remove this generic and let me not have a strict type check. Now I am allowed to have a string element added. Here, of course, I have to say it's an object. I cannot go with applicant because it's no more necessarily an applicant object. Now, suppose here on the reference variable, I am going to call a method that belongs to applicant class, like get applicant name. I just want to print the applicant name and nothing else. It will give me a compilation error. Why? Because the method get applicant name is undefined for the object because we have chosen a type object. What is the type object? That's immaterial as of now. But we have type object which is not applicant class for the applicant small a wala applicant reference variable. So of course that particular method is only applicable for the applicant class. So we cannot call this method. Now in that case, what we will do? We will first cast it to the applicant class. So what I will do is I will do something like this because I want to treat it as an applicant class object. Okay, so I will say it's applicant. Okay, and once I have done this, I will put a bracket from here till here. Now this applicant reference variable gets converted to the applicant class, and from here to here, and then I will use the dot operator. Now let's see. Oh, a is small. Okay, now देखिए, अब देखिए आपको सारे मेथड दिखाई दे रहे हैं. गेट क्या था? नेम ऑफ एप्लीकेंट था ना, नाम मैंने गलत दिया. नेम ऑफ एप्लीकेंट. नाउ आई एम अलाउड टू यूज दिस नेम ऑफ एप्लीकेंट. अगर मैंने ये काम न किया होता, ये चीज अगर नहीं होती, डिलीट. ठीक है, यहाँ से भी डिलीट कर दीजिए. आप ये कॉल नहीं कर सकते गेट नेम ऑफ द एप्लीकेंट बिकॉज द मेथड गेट नेम ऑफ द एप्लीकेंट इज अनडिफाइंड फॉर द टाइप ऑब्जेक्ट. This object applicant, this is variable applicant, is not of the type applicant class with the capital A. So I have to instant cast it, explicitly cast it. This is the explicit cast, right? That I am saying that okay, I know that this list can contain many things, but the particular object that I am getting in this iteration, in this loop iteration, is of the applicant class. Okay, so I am putting a bracket from here to here to convert it to applicant class, and then I am calling get name of the applicant method on it, because get name of the applicant method is defined in the applicant class. Okay. अब क्या होगा, पहला ऑब्जेक्ट जो था वो तो एप्लीकेंट क्लास का था, वो तो प्रिंट कर देगा. दूसरा ऑब्जेक्ट जो था वो स्ट्रिंग क्लास का था. स्ट्रिंग क्लास के अंदर गेट नेम ऑफ द एप्लीकेंट मेथड अवेलेबल नहीं है. द फर्स्ट element that we have added was of the applicant class. That we repeat in English if anyone is there who doesn't understand Hindi. The first element that we have added is of the type or the object of the applicant class. That's perfectly fine. So the first iteration will succeed. In the second iteration, it's a string, and the string class doesn't have the method get name of the applicant because it is very specific to the applicant class. Now, if I try to run it at the compilation time, I won't get any error because I have taken the responsibility. The explicit cast is the responsibility that I have taken. Now, when I have taken the responsibility, the compiler will allow me to do it. Okay, but when I run it, just let me see what happens. It says exception instead mean Java long class cast exception. That because the casting that I have done, explicit casting that I have done, it's an error or it's an exception. It's a problem with that my attempt of casting that particular class. ठीक है, उस क्लास को मैंने एक्सप्लिसिटली कास्ट करने की कोशिश करी तो उसमें प्रॉब्लम आ रही है और कह रहा है क्लास java डॉट lang डॉट string because that hello was a string cannot be cast to cannot be converted to explicitly to class admission dot applicant. ठीक है, admission dot applicant applicant क्लास के कन्वर्ट हम उसमें ऑब्जेक्ट में कन्वर्ट नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज नेम ऑफ द applicant मेथड इज अवेलेबल इन द applicant क्लास. ठीक है, तो ये हमको इस लाइन नंबर पे, यहाँ पे देखिए लाइन नंबर पे भी दे रहा है, एरर दे रहा है, बट इट्स एट द टाइम ऑफ execution of the program. So until I execute the program, I won't get a hint that I have done a mistake in the code. There's a bug in my code, and sometimes you run an online application and you see the screen is just blank, right? It's just blank. You have no clue what has happened because there's some exception, some error. This kind of error are called as runtime error because they come at the runtime. These are the exceptions. These are the runtime exceptions. The problems, they come at the runtime. At the compile time, everything was fine, but at the runtime, there was an issue, right? And so your code stopped working. And so your screen was just a blank screen, and you were surprised what has happened. Okay. Then probably when you notify to the application developers with all these details, then they will keep on checking and they will figure out, they will try to debug. And when they debug, then they will find out, okay, that this particular variable was holding a value of the type string and not of the type applicant, and that's why they are getting the compilation error. Guys, agree?
Yes, sir.
तो इसका मतलब क्या क्या कर रहे हैं, अगर आप स्ट्रिक्ट टाइप नहीं कर रहे हैं तो you are substantially increasing the chance of a runtime problem. ठीक है, which won't show at the compile time. You won't get any clue at the compile time, but at the runtime you will face such problems. ठीक है, आपका प्रोग्राम फेल कर जाएगा. So you are getting two benefits using the strict type checking, or rather using this generic format. ठीक है, अगर ये जेनरिक होता तो ऐसी नौबत ही नहीं आती ना. अगर ये जेनरिक होता तो फिर ऐसी नौबत ही नहीं आती. फिर आप क्या कहते हैं इसको, भाई ये एप्लीकेंट है, एप्लीकेंट है. एप्लीकेंट के अलावा कोई भी एलिमेंट हम इस लिस्ट में ऐड नहीं होने देंगे. आई वोंट अलाउ एनी अदर एलिमेंट टू बी एडेड इन दिस लिस्ट ऑफ एप्लीकेंट. So this is just applicant. This gets a compilation error, so I have to comment it out. I can't use this. When I don't have this problem, there is no question of putting an object. There will be just applicant. Even if there is an object, I don't have an issue over there. Now you see, my code will run. Okay, my code will run. But ideally, then I don't need this object because my compiler knows it's just a element of the applicant class itself which are being added to the list. I must put this applicant. Okay. What is the issue? Okay, spelling applicant. C-A-N-T यहाँ से ये हटाना पड़ेगा. ओके, राइट. अब हमें इस कास्टिंग की भी जरूरत नहीं है. हमें इस कास्टिंग की भी जरूरत नहीं है. ठीक है, जस्ट आई विल से गेट नेम ऑफ द एप्लीकेंट एंड दैट्स फाइन. अगर मैं वो नहीं भी हटाता तो भी अब मेरे कोड में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी, टेक्निकली मेरा कोड चल रहा है, ठीक है। So that's it guys for today. I think it's more than heavy. I'm repeating every time that please go and study. Things will get complicated every day. Just know that you are not learning at the level what the way you are used to learn. ठीक है, क्योंकि आपको काम करना है एक्चुअली, आपको काम करना है जाकर के इंडस्ट्री में। तो जब इंडस्ट्री में काम करना है तो आपको इंडस्ट्री के लेवल से प्रिपेयर होना पड़ेगा, ठीक है। आपको कॉम्प्लिकेशन का आदी बनना पड़ेगा, ठीक है, और उसके लिए आपको मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी। दिस इज नथिंग something which is a rocket science. This is something which a very average person can understand, ठीक है। जो इंडस्ट्री में जो लोग काम करते हैं वो बहुत ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब बहुत 30 मार्का होते हैं, हमारे आप जैसे लोग ही होते हैं, ठीक है। अगर अभी आप सीख लेंगे तो आपको बेनिफिट ये होगा कि आपकी एक तो जॉब मिलना आपको आसान होगी, दूसरी बात जॉब मिलने के बाद जब आपको काम मिलेगा तो आपको धक्के नहीं खाने पड़ेंगे, आप बहुत जल्दी एज ले लेंगे दूसरे जो आपके कोलिग्स होंगे उनके मुकाबले। तो मेहनत या तो आप कर लो या फिर तब करो, तब दो तरह से मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी। एक तो जॉब सर्च करने में मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी, जल्दी जॉब नहीं मिलेगी। दूसरी जब जॉब मिल जाएगी तब उसको सीखने में भी हमेशा आपको डर लगा रहेगा कब आपको जॉब नौकरी से निकाल ना दिया जाए, क्योंकि आपको सीखने में टाइम लगेगा, तब तक आप नॉन परफॉर्मर रहेंगे, ठीक है। तो इट्स बेटर आप अभी सीखो उसको, ठीक है। अभी आपके पास टाइम भी बहुत होता है, उस वक्त टाइम भी नहीं होगा, ठीक है। So I am again repeating, please keep on studying the lecture very seriously. Give 3 to 4 hours every day on just one language. और ये सिर्फ एक सब्जेक्ट नहीं है, ये आपकी प्रोग्रामिंग स्किल को ही बना देगा। आई एम टेलिंग यू, अगर आप ध्यान से if you are paying attention to all the details, minute details, I am teaching you the programming skills. You will learn, how to program, and then when you go for any other language or any other technology which is required in your company, then that will not be difficult for you to migrate. Okay, please do so. So we have a test at 4:30, guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
That will start sharp at 4:30 and will end at sharp 5 o'clock. I will share the link in your WhatsApp group. You have to use the same mail ID which you have used for the Google Classroom and the same, WhatsApp number that you have been added to this WhatsApp group. ठीक है, गूगल क्लासरूम वाला आपको मेल आईडी यूज करना है, व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप वाला व्हाट्सएप नंबर यूज करना है डिटेल्स में, और इनरोलमेंट नंबर वगैरह देना होगा जो अदर डिटेल्स है, सो दैट आई शुड बी इन अ पोजीशन टू देयर सो मेनी स्टूडेंट्स। अगर कुछ कंफ्यूजन होता है तो मैं हमेशा आपको फिगर आउट कर लूँ, आपको नहीं, ठीक है। ट्राई टू डू इट ऑन योर ओन, ठीक है। अभी भी टाइम है, चाहो तो दिन भर आप अगर कोई और शेड्यूल नहीं है तो पढ़ो। वी विल मीट एट 4:30. Thank you guys. We will leave.